I'll start with PCI itself, which is the bus architecture that has been in all the personal computers that you can buy. That's what PCI stands for, Personal Computer Interface. And it was a parallel bus that you might have 7 or 8 plug-in cards all on this bus that the CPU could talk to any of those anytime. And originally they was clocked at 33 megahertz, and it wasn't too long before the CPUs got faster than the bus, and all of a sudden we were what we call I/O bound. We couldn't get any more performance out of a PC because the bus was too slow. So we upped the speed to 66 megahertz, and then 100. And for a lot of reasons that are too complicated for today, we couldn't go past 100, and that limited how fast you could make a personal computer. And so we realized the architecture had to change. And the reason is that if the CPU can talk to any slot in the backplane at any time, to do that really fast, you have to have really, really short connections, and that was not realistic. So we turned to an architecture that actually is old. The differential signaling protocol that is in PCI Express has its origins way back with IBM. I was using it in '74, where we would connect 2 boxes to each other, where we couldn't do that with a parallel bus because the noise in the background was too high. And so this is not a new technique. It's just that early on, as you know, the guts of a computer is a parallel architecture, meaning lots of bits switching in parallel. And the differential links that we're talking about here are serial. So at each end, you had to go from a parallel bus to a serial stream on the line, the other end go back. And at that time, the serializer deserializers were extremely complex and expensive. So the only reason you'd ever do that is if you were stuck, you couldn't do it any other way. Well, as we've gotten to where we have 1 billion transistors in an IC, these serializers and deserializers are what we call basically free. So all of a sudden, it doesn't cost much to go from parallel to serial and back. And the advantage of that is you can drive, well, let me stop for a minute. A parallel bus where either series or parallel terminated, if you're lucky, you can drive that at 2 gigabits per second. That's very hard to do. With a serial bus, we can drive them, and we are right now driving them at 32 gigabits per second, which you could never do any other way. And this is how we're getting all the performance we need in the internet and every place else, is with these serial links. And that's what PCI Express is. We switched from a parallel bus to a serial bus to allow us to go faster. Well, when you have serial links, you can only have a driver and a receiver on the same net. So how is it the CPU is going to talk to 6 or 7 devices like it was doing with the old parallel bus? And the answer is we have to have a switch chip somewhere so that we can switch between the CPU and whatever we want to talk to. Well, early on, those were expensive chips, so we only used PCI Express in real high-end PCs like a gamer would buy. Well, we've now integrated those switch circuits right in the CPU, so it's not an extra part to buy.
Oh, okay.
So it's everywhere.